Fremantle will be kicking with that Zephyr in this third term.
It does appear the scoring end. The Hawks kicked 8 goals at that end in the second term, a few from outside 50.
Yeah, 8 in a row. If you weren't with us, it was an onslaught. And they get the early takeaway here. Sewell to Roughhead on the run. He's got it. There's the perfect start. Just needs a clean finish.
Another centre clearance, and this time it was a genuine centre clearance, not one that goes out onto the wing and we have a ball up. This one was a penetrating kick inside forward 50 to a leading forward. He goes back, kicks his goal. Let's have another look in the middle of the ground. It was David Hart once again. Nice little flick out from Jordan Lewis to a bloke on the outside, and Sewell, just a beautiful kick.
For number 3 for Jared Roughhead for the afternoon. From just inside the 50, drives it long. Has it got the carry? It has!
Well, that's the start the Hawks were looking for. He's really improved his kicking over the last couple of seasons. He always had a technique that was basically sound. Just needed to develop a bit of confidence behind it, and it's starting to come to fruition now. He's kicked 3 straight, Jared Roughhead. And it was a terrific kick to space from Brad Sewell, and he made good late ground. And there's not much a defender can do. I mean, Zach Dawson's right there on the hammer of Jared Roughhead, but the kick was just too good.
Great start to the Hawks. A couple of interesting matchups, though. Cyril Rioli's got a new opponent. Now looking to get some run out of defence. Pretty good thinking, I think. As Kingy said, having trouble rebounding will put your best run and carrier in defence.
Sandlin's with the fist, but Young was ready for it. De Guerra to Sewell. Slung by Pearce. Back to Guerra. Got his arms free and ran out of the tackle. Franklin at half forward. Rioli also at half forward. Beaten to it by Hill. Missed his boot with the attempted kick. Rioli still about to pounce. Flicks it back nicely. Bruce handballed it to himself. Suckling. Left foot kick smothered by Duffield. Ridden a little. And the umpire gives them an eternity to get it out.
Too long.
They have gone completely one-on-one here, the Fremantle Dockers. I reckon Ross Lyons sitting up in the coach's box now, just assessing each player really with a microscope at the moment, just to check out the attitude and application of each player.
Lewis with the knockdown. Robertson kick smothered. Bangs it out of the area, hoping for De Boer. Bounce kindly, but Sean Burgoyne, he jumped on him a bit. Out of play. Fremantle have won 6 of their last 7 quarters. So they have got the fitness to come home in this. But they want to get it going in this third and not leave it too late.
Need a big lift from their boys around the ball. Mundy in particular, we know he's had the issues with injury, but he's had half a dozen games or so back now. He's basically got to start to become that dominant A-grade midfielder that he was prior to being injured.
Ball hits the deck, big pack around it. Mitchell lays a tackle. Again, the umpire forced to sort it out.
Well, the one-on-one didn't last too long, Kingy.
There's a bit going on down here. Look, you feel for the Dockers at this stage, but they just need to find an intent around the action. Their contested work needs to come up a bit.
Sandlands, it was a long way down there to pick it up. Again, fresh players after half-time following this ball around.
Yeah, Duffield, Paul Duffield's just he's just whipped down into defence with this centre clearance on the wing. There's Hayden Ballantyne. He's just on the outside, looking for a squirt out.
And all of a sudden, we have reverted back to the one-on-one. Suckling had pushed back behind the ball. He comes forward again. Duffield picks him up. And once again, it's one-on-one.
Both teams came into this game in good form. Both teams having won their last 2 before this. Can Fremantle find that form again? Dawson back to Johnson. He let back on that kick, and that's a free against Crowley. Jump into Sewell illegally, unrealistically.
I think he's saying he got his hands to the ball there, so depends what he did with the hands on Sewell at the time, I think.
Sewell puts it up.
Cyril's
holds it up in the breeze.
Yep.
Brought.
It's going to be a fascinating battle, this one. Hill versus Cyril Rioli.
They've got to run now.
Because Hill has got to make Cyril accountable. He's just got to start charging up the ground.
Crowley heads long. Clark 2 grabs, not the third. De Boer to half forward. And Main's been well held today. Sean Maker's right with him.
Going to be interesting, I think, for the rest of this season, guys, what Ross Lyon can extract from this team. I think they're still lacking a fair bit of class forward of centre. I know they've got some talent in the midfield that's maybe just out of form at the moment, but they're a long way short of being a genuine contender.
Gibson to Guerra, who bit off a bit more than he could chew. Stratton back to Guerra, and now to Gibson. Umpire, his jumper stripped, and umpire said play on, even though it went a little high as it was stripped from him. Mitchell, Franklin.
Oh,
poor handle.
They've got a loose out the back as well.
Lewis, Franklin. Out of side, Shields.
Great kick.
Clever kick, wasn't it?
Young. Up against the boundary. Rough head in position A. Almost the mark. Zach Dawson held his ground. Rough head with a couple to beat. Out of play a win. Fremantle have won just 2 of 12 away games against Hawthorn. They've never had a positive record against them, and they're in danger of adding to that right now.
Clancy Pearce follows Sam Mitchell into that collision, and he has been
down behind play as well.
It's Clancy Pearce. He's been one of the great success stories for the Dockers this year. Probably would have got the flick.
He's a bit wobbly.
Rough head. He's not wobbly. He's a tower of strength. He's got 4.
Well, we mentioned it at half-time, Jared. He's looking better by the week as we see. Clancy Pearce, he's copped it. He's wobbly. He's not quite there. Doesn't have his feet. Doesn't have his senses. And that's a shame. You don't like seeing that happen to anyone. And it was all in desperation, chasing the footy. So watch the players come through.
There's no one on him.
No, that's just too easy. No defensive sweeper, just a hole opened up. A little bit of claret coming out of the mouth, I think.
Totally unaccountable. Let's have a look at Clancy Pearce. Goes forward, gets some friendly fire from his mate Zach Dawson. But I think under the previous regime may not have survived the cut it across the pre-season, but he has been one of their better players under Ross Lyon.
Sewell with the clearance of sorts. Free kick, play on advantage. Guerra doesn't want to take the advantage. Umpire said you have to now.
Yeah, after a certain time, you can't just stop either.
Stephen Hill's ball.
Well, he started on Rioli, but when Rioli went deep, he came up to Piopolo. So they want to play him across the half-back line and see if he can create some run and rebound.
To McFarlane. Mzungu the target on the outer side. Hasn't done much yet today. Tendai Mzungu. Sewell. Jumped on. Free kick.
They've given away a lot of those, the Dockers. They just haven't approached the player with the ball in the right fashion. Too many easy free kicks to the Hawks, letting them off when they could really put them under some pressure.
63 points the margin right now. That's the biggest margin of the game if you haven't been with us from the outset. Shields backtracks to the back pocket. To Schoenmakers. In fact, that's a behind. Yes.
That's an ordinary kick.
Is that a deliberately rushed behind? Not quite. Otherwise, it would have been a free kick.
Last time I saw that was in the grand final.
Yeah. And if you do that
4 years ago,
He actually kicked a goal, not a point. He threaded the needle.
That's a great kick.
You couldn't have done that if you were shooting for goal.
If you do that deliberately, it's a free kick. If you do it accidentally, you get away with it. Suckling. Just a matter of faking the sincerity when you do it. Schoenmakers.
That would apply to half a dozen rules in our game, though.
Probably would.
Test for Hawthorn now in this second half is not to get too cute, not to go away from the things that have actually got them where they are at the moment.
It's a different game when the one-on-one for Hawthorn as well, because they haven't got their spare in defence.
Guerra long. Smith. De Boer beats him to it, spills the mark. White cross off the deck. Hill. Sidestep. Mzungu through his legs. It's between the tail of his day. Neal to half forward. All Hawthorn. Young. They can reload. Burgoyne from centre half back.
Franklin one out.
Rioli sees Franklin on the march. Puts it in front. Collect on the run. Wants to head to the square. And loads up long. That's a spectacular kick. Whitecross couldn't bring it down. Mundy, Mzungu. Rush behind. Mundy entrusted with the kick in for the Dockers. Everything they do under pressure.
Well, they've got to go quick here. They've got numbers. They should score here, the Dockers. They've got Pavlich out wide.
De Boer sees Pav, makes it tough for him, skids it to him. Barlow.
It's just about hard running, and they've created the score here.
Over the top, Van Berlo's now on. Tucked up against the boundary line, Spur, centering kick. Crowley, you're right, Jason. They should score here. So they've used their sub.
It was the long kick down the middle, and you can see how upset Alistair Clarkson is. I mean, you've got to set high standards as a coach, and something broke down in the structure there, and he's not happy.
Clancy Pearce was a player, boys, we saw getting carried from the ground before, so obviously some sort of concussion issue there, and he's got the red vest.
20 out, Crowley at least keeps them on the map.
You don't see balls getting kicked on the top of the grandstand roofs too often around the competition these days. Used to be a regular feature going into the back of the bleachers, but
every now and then we see them try to get it in the second and third tier.
That's right.
It's not on the roof.
But it's a feature here, and no doubt there's some pretty smart young Tasmanians at the back of the grandstand here. I like this kick. I like this kid, in fact. I think he's a player of the future. It's a smart work, bit of smart work.
Clark in the ruck. Palm down against Roughhead. Crowley a clearance. Barlow pounces half forward. Hawks with the numbers though. Gibson, Lewis, Smith. Birchall runs in support. Hale playing out of centre half forward. Into his back, Zach Dawson.
Gee, it was the perfect kick from Birchall.
Sean Burgoyne squeezes a 15-metre pass to Suckling. Mitchell leading out of the square.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that's the lead you're going to honour.
Franklin leading back to the square. Suckling in his direction. Franklin with a couple to beat. One hand on it. Hill, Slick, Ballantyne. And now they can get and go on the open side. Good pass on the run. Spur turns it over.
Yeah, it wasn't a great kick.
Sean Makers makes it tough for Gibson. Good enough to get out of a bind there. Birchall. Whitecross. Roughhead peeling for him, and he can get and go if he wants. He's got the over the top. Rust. Sidestep. Pokes the pass to the pocket. Smith tucked against the boundary. Tried to squeeze it through a leg in the post.
Why on earth, when there's a bloke there, would you kick it along the ground? You need to explain that logic to me.
I know he's tall, but he's not that tall.
They should score again here, the Dockers.
Barlow floats it though. Clark through some traffic. Neal. Hill. Mundy. Gone. Just got a handball away in time. Ibbotson. Neal. Mundy. Nothing for the time package.
Now they're out. Some tired
this
players
last
out
couple
there.
of minutes. Pavlich.
He's in range from there.
For 2 goals in a row to the Dockers.
Straight over the top here.
Gee, that's sloppy.
Tendai Mzungu has a chance to kick a goal.
A few tired Hawks that weren't prepared to work hard getting back there defensively. A couple of times they've been opened up after kick-outs from behind.
I think this is all about habits now, guys, as we see that replay.
Why, Kingy? What chance, even if it's online, is that of going through?
Yeah, not sure, Jace. It wasn't my specialty, but...
There's a bloke 10 foot tall there. You've got to go over him.
For 2 goals in a row for the first time today for the Dockers. And he misses.
Just think this is a real danger period now. This is a real area of concern, and they have to show their maturity here a lot, the Hawks, just to not get drawn into bad habits and allow this game to drag them down to a level that they shouldn't be even involved with at the moment.
It's important 40-odd minutes for a number of Dockers too, I reckon, Kingy. There'd be It'd be 3 or 4 whose positions for next week's game would be right on the line.
That was an ordinary kick too. They're getting a little bit too cute, the Hawks.
Ballantyne doesn't even look, didn't need to. 2 in a row, Freo.
That's exactly what David King was saying.
He might have been one I had in mind.
Yeah,
Aidan Ballantyne.
just the 5 kicks for him, and 6 kicks now, Jared. He's kicked a goal, but 3 of those 6 kicks have been wasteful, so he's had no impact. But Grant Birchall tried to force something in traffic there.
Yeah, he's a long way off becoming a midfielder at the present time, but he is very handy around the goals, and maybe that's where he needs to settle for another month.
Have the Derby next week, for those that are unaware. It's the game you've been talking about that they playing to be in, Fremantle Dockers. Right now they're playing to stay in this one as well. 51 points the margin.
Interesting they've gone man-to-man, as we know, but they're going all the way. You've got Mundy at the present time on Sewell. Sewell's gone to the forward pocket. Mundy's gone to the back pocket.
Flick down didn't work from Shields. Robertson. Main his target. Schoenmaker's with him. Main keeps his feet. Then dragged down and jumped on. Surely a free. Gibson pleads his case.
Can't believe it, Josh Gibson. You always love that from players. They never think they've given away a free kick, regardless of whether it's a blatant, obvious one.
Clark tried to pluck it from behind. Crowley keeps it in. Wing tackle, had an arm locked. Looks pleadingly at the umpire, and he gives him a break.
Gee, there wasn't a lot in it. I thought he did pretty well to stay out of his back. And that's why he's got a look of incredulity on his face.
Freo with a chance of 3 goals in a row. Burgoyne seeks the line deliberately, and umpire gives him a break.
Just the 7 possessions for Sean Burgoyne.
I reckon the umpires, Jason, should desist with their explanations. Burgoyne wasn't trying to tap the ball in front of himself. We know he was trying to hit it across the line, and that's fair enough. He got away with it, but let's not make some explanations like we had last week a couple of times where it just makes things worse for the umpire.
Another one of those rules where you have to fake sincerity, Jared. Broughton to Clark, up and plucks it. So for 3 in a row, to stay in the game, this kick.
Intensity of the Hawks has dropped off, no doubt about that. Alistair Clarkson's, we've seen him upset a few times already. You're normally not as a coach when you've got a nice lead like this, but he wants a kill. He doesn't want to allow the Dockers back into the game.
That's what he has ahead of him, and keeps the door open.
Well, I think Alistair Clarkson would be thinking more what's going to happen in the last 4 or 5 weeks of the season. And when he sees Gillum come across and not, in fact, hit the spoil or even get close to spoil, he's wrong-footed or he just misreads it completely, didn't get a jump at all. He'd be thinking, well, you know, we need this guy to get better. And it looked as if he couldn't even jump there. Didn't get his timing at all right, whereas Zach Clark, he got it spot on. Nice work.
Usual reward for kicking a goal. Maybe a couple of issues there as Zach Clark comes off. Zach Dawson has gone to full forward now for the Dockers.
Sandlin's back into the ruck and takes it out of the air. Handball missed the target. Barlow off the deck. Wasn't in danger. He gets away with it. Neal threads it out to Broughton. They've got a spark Freo right now. Free kick though against Ballantyne. Unnecessary. Team had a run on. Birchall from half back. Been outplayed in this term, the Hawks.
The run's not there.
Birchall,
So
Devonport boy.
Straight to Sandlands.
Mitchell steals and goes. Touch play on the call. It was rolling along the ground. Franklin and Brost. Whitecross runs for him in his direction and good mark to De Boer. And on the open side, they can run the Dockers. Kick made it tough for Robertson. Caught by Smith. Jumps on it, tries to keep it alive. Robertson tried to keep it in. Mundy, the cavalry arrived. De Boer back outside 50.
They've lost their advantage, haven't they, Dwayne, because of a poor disposal, and that's what Ross Lyon will be filthy on.
Neil.
Yeah, they've got away with it again. And
Dawson.
they can score again here. It's 1-on-1 everywhere.
Open forward line now. Ibbotson can hand off if he wants to Crowley. Or go to Ballantyne. Hits Ballantyne for 4 in a row. Ballantyne thought about playing on.
They have opened the Hawks up with some hard running from deep out of defence.
And that was the one item that was missing. Outside of winning the contest at the stoppage, they just haven't run hard at all until this last 10 minutes, the Dockers. And it's one of their great strengths.
And because they've engaged one-on-one, it's meant there's no defensive press behind the footy.
Big kick this. 45-degree angle. They were bland in the opening half, Freo, but they've added some colour to this one.
Well, you put Ballantyne back into the forward 50, you've got De Boer and you've got Chris Mayne. If you get the ball in there, it shouldn't come out because they are 3 of the better pressure players in the competition at keeping the ball in. This time it wasn't all that necessary. Good fast break, good hard running. Ballantyne runs back into the space, and all of a sudden, in the space of 10 minutes, we are reminded of just what a valuable player he can be when he's up and about.
If you've joined us late, the Hawks kicked 8 goals in a row in the second term to push the margin out to 63 points in the end. And now Fremantle with 4 goals in a row have cut it back to 39. Barlow. And suddenly the Hawks look tired. Yep. Broughton.
The Hawks have pushed an extra into defence to try and stem the flow.
Smith to Burgoyne. Outside of the boot to the runners.
So,
and
Jason,
Bruce takes it out.
Does it play into Hawthorn's hands if you push up and you make it one-on-one? Mundy's just asking the question, do I go down and do I go man-on-man? Or does it, Ross Lyon just prove his point, continue to go 100% man-on-man?
Well, I think he'll endeavour for a while, but see, there's no one to kick to here.
Proust can't shrug McFarlane. Handball, Rioli. Shields floats it up a little. And Mzungu, spectacular grab.
This is where they've been good this quarter. This rebound now is really running. We've got Mundy and Hill off half back, and this is really working for the Dockers.
Barlow to Mundy. Now Ibbotson on the run. And Fremantle, every player on the prowl.
Isn't it amazing how games turn so quickly?
Stratton searches for the line. Gets the handball from Gillum. Can't shrug the tackle. Little 1-2 at Gibson, releases him. Mitchell, flick over the top. Sean Makers. Got it from Burgoyne. Gives it to the outer side, and Young.
Geez, that had to be a pinpoint pass, and it was. So you're better off playing your best players behind the ball kicking when you're playing this rebound footy.
I think you are, and I think that he's teaching a bit of a lesson here to some of the players that were down back early in Duffield and Broughton. Maybe Hill has a role to play for this club going forward at halfback, and maybe he can become an elite halfback flank weapon.
Well, both Mundy and Hill down there. It's pretty fair rebound power.
Crowd starting to find some voice here at Aurora Stadium, but there's been stunned silence for the last 10 minutes. Smith, touched ball. It'll be play on. McFarlane didn't take it to the line, though. He kept it alive, to his detriment, perhaps. Johnson. Broughton, to his own advantage. Mzungu. Fremantle have won 6 of their 7 last quarters. So they've been running out games well. Suckling on the left, and he misses. 40 points, and it was 63.
This is where they've been opening them up. They've been getting long kick-outs down the corridor and being able to play on.
Missed him.
Sandlands flicks it down, have to go and get his own ball. It was a long way down there, and he jumped on it. Hard attack from both Mzungu and Suckling. Dived on the ball, the decision. Freo ball. Broughton to Robertson. Clark goes for front spot. Pavlich keeps it in. The umpire will be forced to toss this in.
They just look first for the ball at the moment, the Fremantle Dockers. They look proactive around the stoppages and off half-back now. The mindset of the Dockers has changed.
Flicked out the back. Roost was waiting for it. Lewis squeezed the 30-metre pass, hoping for Puopolo.
Really struggled to have an impact. Paul Puopolo, just the 2 handballs to him. I suspect he'll probably come into consideration when they look at the substitute and activating Shane Savage.
Couple of minutes left to three-quarter time. The Dockers have won this term, and they win the last 2 minutes. Ball hits the deck. Strap inside 50. Puopolo did well, couldn't find the target with the handball. Rioli was coming past at full steam. Gets it up to Bruce Puopolo. Shields touched. Dockers with the numbers. Hill. A shimmy. De Boer.
Desperate to find somebody on the other side of the ground, but nobody was working hard enough. So he kicks it to a 3-on-1.
Ball thumped out of play.
Greg Broughton working really hard here now to get back onto Mitchell. Here he is. He was the one that could have broken, but he gets very Mitchell conscious.
Franklin, no one to kick to. Could go for goal from there. From 80. Might try and bounce it through. It's long. McFarlane gets back, and hitting the post is a win for Hawthorn. They get a ball in. And the Hawthorn chant rings around Aurora Stadium again. A chance for a late score. Lewis pounces, kicks, and pumps up the volume again.
Well, we said a little earlier on in the game when he missed one that he's been kicking them from extraordinary angles today, and that's another great snap, Jordan Lewis. He's taken his game to another level this season. He had a terrific last 2/3 of 2011, but he's become a goal-kicking midfielder. Does very good jobs on quality opposition midfielders, but he finds a way to score himself. Aaron Sandler's nearly knocked the whole pack over, but that's a super snap from Lewis.
Anybody on him? And Jordan Lewis just running back, thinking, gee, it's an easy game when no one picks him up around goals.
Been a sharpshooter. Amazing year in front of goal. 12 goal 3 now for Jordan Lewis. Barlow tied up by Shields. Mitchell, again where Angels fear to tread, does his best work there. 1 minute 17 left to three-quarter time. Fremantle in 6th spot on the ladder coming into this. Hawthorn were 9th. Robert Ballantyne bangs it forward in hope. No science in it. Sewell, Mitchell, and now Lewis on the run. Spur with him, gets there first. Nice pass to Main. 50 seconds left. Just beyond his range, perhaps. It's the top of the square. Pavlich from 3 deep. Can't mark it. Johnson caught high, and he'll win the free.
Well, this is a critical kick now, isn't it?
That's what Ross Lyon was talking about at the first interchange break, guys. Getting the ball in deeper, that deeper penetration. He touched on it last week after the Port Adelaide game. Just didn't feel they had enough opportunity around the goal square area, both defensively to keep the ball in their forward line and offensively to give his forwards a chance.
Should kick this.
To win the quarter and give them momentum at three-quarter time. He slots it with 8 seconds left.
Something to work with. That's all he would have been hoping for at half-time. Something to go into the three-quarter time break from a positive sense. And he did cop one high. There was a delayed reaction, but the delayed reaction certainly drew the response from the umpire.
5 goals to 3 in the third term.
Yep.
So you mentioned you can't wipe off a big deficit straight away. You've got to chip away. Probably wanted to outscore them by 3 or 4 goals, but they've given themselves a glimmer of hope.
Alistair Clarkson. Not happy with what he's seen in this third term. They were 63 points up, the Hawks, and with seconds remaining, a clearance to Shields. Siren sounds. So from 63 down to 40 down. They are in the lap of the gods, Fremantle, but they have got one of the best last quarter records in the competition in 2012. Hawthorn 13-12-90, Fremantle 7-8-50.